you figure that's a picture of me? I'm just not here. In my own world. It's because I was born to where I exist. Because you're talking about a girl and I don't talk to her.
A suspect who avoids reality. A victim identifies the kidnapper from his eyes in the dark. In one sentence, that reveals the whole truth. On April 12, 2017, a woman was abducted from a Target parking lot in Kissimmee. She was forced to withdraw money from an ATM, assaulted, and then released. She described the suspect as wearing a mask over his chin, carrying a gun, and clearly prepared. It was from security cameras and video on Gabriel's phone that investigators quickly realized the connection.
If you have any questions when I read these, just feel free to just ask, all right?
Yeah.
So you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say yes, please? I want to
Yes.
listen to the microphone.
The initial emotionless response is a typical defense mechanism, creating a mask of cooperation to avoid suspicion.
So you'd like to know what this is all about?
I already know this is all about the same stuff as the last time.
Not quite. And that's why we're here. The last time the other detective there was asking you about places you've been and people you've been in contact with.
I don't remember all that, but I'm pretty sure I was asked because that's the typical question.
When suspects don't want to lie but can't admit it, they often evade by obscuring their memories.
So how have they been treating you so far?
I don't know. I'm not in there.
Where are you right now?
Not here. I'm just not here. In my own world. It's because I was born. It's where I exist.
A subtle psychological avoidance, shifting from reality to abstraction to disconnect emotionally.
Just space. And trust me when I tell you, dude, and I study philosophy. So when it comes to time, space, and I can tell you honestly, one of my favorite people was Rene Descartes. He studied people, is what he did. And he studied the mind. And he said a couple of interesting things.
The investigator uses philosophy as a bait to see if the suspect is using philosophical logic to detach from reality. Gabriel doesn't react strongly, just nods, a passive sign of agreement, disconnected from real emotion.
I got your phone.
Yeah, my phone, you had it, I know.
You had a conversation with this dude initially in the park, and then you continued your interview with him. Remember that conversation you had with that dude?
It's been a while, I don't know.
And you made a couple of points that absolutely true, that no one can argue. Even the dude argued, because you asked him, do you want to do something? And he's like, yeah. And you asked him, do you want to work? And he goes, yeah. You don't remember that?
I don't recall, but okay.
The don't remember response in the face of clear evidence is a sign of selective denial, a mechanism for avoiding responsibility.
How good would you say your memory is?
It's poor.
How far back do you think you can go?
Depends on what occurred.
So I was trying to find out how far your memory goes back, and you just said it just depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Is it because some things you just blank out?
How good is your memory? As a tactic to help the suspect create a sense of honesty, but in fact to lead the investigation.
Does that look familiar?
That's the same hat you showed me on that picture.
These look familiar?
Those are something that was with me about at least a couple months back. It was in a book bag, but I couldn't find it because somebody had taken it.
Someone had taken what?
The book bag.
The book bag. What color was the book?
I had a red one and a blue and white one.
The red book bag somewhere, or somebody steal it from you?
I left it. Like I said, I leave my stuff when I have to go, you know.
Do you remember where you left it at?
Yeah, well, I left it in a washing machine. Well, behind the washing machine.
When a suspect accurately remembers innocuous details but denies relevant information, it is a sign of information control, choosing what to remember and what to forget.
In the video on your phone, you had mentioned how someone was holding on to your property and they wouldn't give it back to you, and they finally gave it back to you.
Because they had my ID and all that, and they, I guess, didn't recognize me.
Who was holding on to your stuff?
Well, the people that returned it back to me.
But you said there was property missing.
Yeah, my phone.
Typical distraction tactic, distancing yourself from ownership to deny involvement.
So that's safe to say then that that was also in a blue bag.
No, it's not mine.
That's not yours? It's a mask that hunters wear. I'm assuming for camouflage themselves from whatever they're hunting. I don't hunt, so.
That's not mine.
Okay.
Repeated denial without a strong emotional response may indicate that the suspect is trying to maintain control or has rehearsed this defensive response. Repeated denial accompanied by signs of micro-stress is a strong indicator of psychological defenses.
That was a picture of you.
Let me take a good look at it.
Oh, you just want to look at it?
And pulled it back.
Damn. Okay. Way too many pictures, man.
Okay, and how you figure that's a picture of me?
Oh, I know it's you.
The confession comes coldly, without emotion, when the suspect knows he can no longer deny it, but is also not ready to show remorse. When the confession comes coldly and briefly, that is often the breaking point in the psychological defenses.
Did you use your phone a lot to videotape stuff? To record things?
Yeah, I like to. Like I said, I forget, so I like to document certain things.
A type of rationalization, legitimizing the behavior with personal context to soften the level of guilt.
You know what that is right there? That's called a photo lineup. You recognize somebody right there?
I don't have any friends, I don't know.
Okay, how about that person? You familiar with that person right there?
Yeah, because it's me.
Right.
With long hair. I
Yeah.
just took that picture.
You just took
on
that
my ID
picture.
right here. I don't need to.
Oh!
I don't have any friends I don't know. A sentence that sounds logical, but is actually a defensive speech disorder. Gabriel uses a double negative to convey the message. I don't have anyone. Don't associate me with anyone in this case.
I told you
I don't know what happened.
she picked you out of the photo lineup,
And what is that to me if you're not telling me what happened?
that you were wearing a mask while you kidnapped her. What more do you need to know? You said it yourself. Remember your ex freaking made some bullshit charges on you and you ended up getting arrested because she lied?
Okay, but I don't have anybody I'm in a relationship with.
We have the proof that we need that you were with her. We just
I
need to know is,
wasn't-
did you piss her off and she freaking wanted to do the same shit your girlfriend did to
I
you?
wasn't with any girl.
No.
I
Okay.
wasn't.
Well, we have.
When identified from the photo array, Gabriel did not deny it. He simply asked, "What is that to me?" The question was not aimed at the truth, but at diluting the evidence. When pressed for details, he said, "I wasn't with any girl." But instead of denying it specifically, Gabriel opted for abstract denials, a familiar tactic to avoid direct accusation.
Let me try to figure something out here, because going back to, you don't talk to anybody, you don't talk to girls, you don't have friends, you stay yourself, and several outgoing calls to her. Why? How would that happen? At least explain that to me.
I remember that is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because you're talking about a girl and I don't talk to girls.
The statement, "I don't talk to girls," represents a form of indirect denial. Gabriel attempts to project an image of a person who is socially detached to reduce the possibility of being blamed.
Again, like I said, I told you as much as I know. As much as I know as far as the questions you guys are asking.
So you didn't kidnap anybody?
I didn't kidnap anybody.
The final hard denial, often the suspect's last attempt at control before collapse. Throughout the interrogation, Gabriel Rene did not make a direct confession. He denied, evaded, and answered in a roundabout way. However, the truth was not in what he said. It was in what he could not deny. Gabriel's phone contained videos of himself talking to homeless people, describing his plan, and even showing the gun and mask the victim had described. The evidence found matched the victim's testimony, and especially when investigators showed Gabriel this photo from the video.
Okay, and how you figure that's a picture of me.
Oh, I know it's you.
It was this moment, brief but clear, that marked the collapse of a series of denials that had lasted more than 30 minutes. Not a complete confession, but enough to confirm that he had no way back. In a Florida court in November 2017, Gabriel Rene was charged with armed kidnapping, aggravated assault, unlawful possession of a weapon. The judge sentenced him to 30 years in prison without parole. In the courtroom, Gabriel showed no remorse. He stared straight ahead, not once looking at the victim. Gabriel's actions were not just criminal, they were a complex manifestation of someone both in control and out of control of his own mind. He didn't confess, but he couldn't deny it either. So what do you think? Is it the silence of guilt or the last defense of a troubled mind? Leave your comments below.